Hello everyone, welcome along to Sports Pizza. Glad to have you join us on what is a nice fresh episode of the show. European football is back in full force. Spanish La Liga up and running, Italian Serie A up and running, Premier League 2 weeks in, and of course what's happening in the Bundesliga, Harry Kane up and running as well. So lots to talk about here on the show. We've got some athletics as well as far as Toby Amusan goes. What about the Women's World Cup, which has been center stage for the last 1 month or thereabout? It's finally come to a grinding halt, and what an interesting win. First ever win for Spain. We'll talk about all of that and what is the future for teams like England and, of course, Nigeria, of course, keeping tabs with all that. So there is lots to sink our teeth into, but, of course, we'll take our first break on the show. When we come back, we'll introduce Nee in the house, and we'll get into all the talking points. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Pizza. Glad to have you join us. If you're joining us for the first time, you have missed quite the bit, but right in time for a fresh new season. All the top European leagues back in full force, and we are up and running with them as well. My name is Yubin, so I'm joined by Falan Adedi in the house for another fresh, very exhilarating conversation. Let's pick up the pace, Falan, because the pleasantries are maybe no time for that today. But look, we've got the top leagues back: Spanish, Serie A, Bundesliga, French League One, all back on the way. Kylian Mbappe's problems with PSG all sorted out. He also came back with a goal-scoring return, even though they couldn't quite get a win. So 2 games that for PSG, who haven't quite been able to get a win. But it will be foolhardy to start anywhere else than the Women's World Cup. Let's start with that story which saw Spain win their first ever Women's World Cup. Now, they're now the second only team besides Germany to have both their men's team win the World Cup and the female team win the World Cup. And what a story it is for the players who, to be fair, haven't been the most united with the coach. You could see the rancor and the cold-bloodedness between the coach and some of the players. But eventually, who says you can't win in adversity?
Definitely. And congratulations to them. And just like you said, Spain didn't start the tournament in a very, very good way. But once it got to the knockout stage, and they've not won in knockout competition, talking about female football, but after they went through the round of 16, it became obvious that you have to put them as one of the favorites, to win the tournament. And just like what happened at the 2010 World Cup with the male team, this particular female team of Spain had 8 Barcelona players in them. And that tells you that whatever Barcelona female team are doing, it has also transcended into the national team, just like we had in 2010. And the likes of Putellas, Emoso, pulling their weight, in the team. It really, really showed that they are a very, very strong and formidable team. And just like you said, prior to the tournament, there were issues, internal issues about the coach and some of his selections. At some point, there were rumors that the Spanish Football Federation were going to, fire the coach, because of the noise around him. But they stuck with him. They stood by him, and he also stuck with his principle. I'm not going to use this player. I'm going to use this player. And of course, it has ended in
with a victory. Well, of course, Spain are the first team in women's football history, I beg your pardon, to be reigning World Cup champions at the under-17, under-20, and at the senior level as well. Guess the other team that managed such a feat, Brazil, the only team in men's football, matter of fact, to be reigning champions at all 3 levels. The World Cup back, of course, 2002, 2003, the under-20, hold that thought, and 2003 at the under-17. So this is quite a remarkable record, and it's not rocket science, right? They've done it on the 17s, on the 20, and at the top level. What it shows is that they've got a strong conveyor belt. We had a story about Senegal as well early this year when Senegal held all titles
in Africa.
Exactly. It's not rocket science. When you build the teams right at every level, it is only inevitable that the players will take the winning mentality from here to there.
And one particular player, it's at the forefront of that particular run, and that is Salma, the lady, of course, or girl, or woman, whichever one, that won the young player of the tournament. She was part of the team that won the under-17, part of the team that won the under-20, and now part of the team that won the FIFA Women's World Cup. I won't be surprised if she leaves football and run off to Budapest to play to run at the World Athletics, because she's also an athlete. So I don't know how she has been able to combine both football and athletics, but I think now she will be focusing more on football. So just like you said, if you follow due process, in everything, you're going to achieve results at the end of the day.
It's just a bit of commitment, and I say that because you think about what we do here in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise. Let's speak about Nigeria because we focus on the Super Falcons and that's it. And we focus on the Super Eagles. And that's what the NFF do, fundamentally. But you need to develop your game, right?
Sure.
And we say this all the time. It sounds like a cliche. It sounds like a broken record, but it's not. If you focus on all the cadres of the team, you give them the adequate attention, it will only translate. It's a matter of time. But Morocco are a good example as well. They focus on very key aspects of their sport. In 2, 3, 4 years, look at them at the World Cup.
Definitely.
And I can bet you Morocco at the next World Cup would also be very strong force to reckon with.
Even their female team.
Even their female team as well, right? Their first ever World Cup, and see what they did, went very far. So there's lots of highlights for the women's game, but of course lots of lessons, of course, for the men's game as well. So there's always something to pick away from this major tournament, isn't it? Let's get away from that. But congrats to Spain for winning their first ever women's World Cup, and commiserations with England, who knocked out Nigeria, couldn't quite do the job over Spain. Right. Anyway, let's get away from that. Now let's touch base with a story closer to home before we get back into the football. Toby Amusan. She's been cleared to, get involved in the Budapest games. Now, talk to me about this case that has been lingering because it threatened to derail what is the best form of her life. Now, at the moment, she's been cleared, but the AIU have said, look, we're not quite convinced with things, but you can't stop a moving train, can you?
Definitely.
She's the best in the world, and I think that in many ways, for me, they can't quite accept the fact that this kid from Nigeria, is dominating.
I don't want to play that card.
No,
I don't want to play that racism card.
We've seen too many. We've seen too many.
I get your point.
Athletes, of black descent or African descent, get called in for things that are not necessary.
Definitely.
I just feel like at the moment she's got to use every single thing in our power to fight this, because the girl is clearly been cleared, so you've got to drop it, no?
they, at some point they will have to face reality and say there's nothing for us to hold this girl with. I mean, she's at the top of her game right now, and the fear was that were they going to allow her to defend the 100-meter hurdle title she won at the last year World Athletic Championship, and I think the disciplinary committee, they've cleared her. So for the time being, she has to focus on her race, but we can't deny the fact that what has happened over the past 1 month will probably take a toll on her. So I won't be surprised. Hopefully not. But then again, this is psychology. I mean, we know we talk about football. You play with the leg. Athletics. You run with your leg. You have to have this mental, toughness, to go with it. And for someone to have been subjected, for the past 1 month, not being sure if they are going to allow her to participate or not. But I think it should also serve as a moral booster for her, going into the tournament. I need to do more. A lot of people are rooting for her in Nigeria, in Africa, and they expect her to be. Maybe I only made her up, because it's a Brumel that we thought was going to win something in the long jump. She came fourth, over the weekend. So every egg nice in the basket of Toby Amusan.
That's why we've got to support her and make sure she feels the love.
I think she will win some. She will win gold.
I think she wins gold. I think she wins gold. But of course, the AIU, the body released an official statement on their website, clearing her of any anti-doping rule violation of 3 whereabouts failures leveled against her at the Court of Arbitration for Sports. I'm just going to try and read out the statement which was made. Apparently, I just lost that for a bit, but the statement actually, a panel of disciplinary tribunal by majority decision has today found that Toby Amusan has not committed any anti-doping rule violation, ADRV of 3 whereabouts failures within a 12-month period. So congrats to Toby on that, and all the best.
It's just she's always available for the test.
She's always available for the test.
What AIU are looking for?
So what do you mean by
maybe it's AIU that does not have a test?
fine. She's there for the test. Go test her, right? Anyway, it's good that we're making light of this. Hopefully, Toby is making light of it as well, and hopefully we can have an incredible performance from her. We're rooting for her and always supporting her at the Budapest Athletic Games. Right then, let's take another break on the show, because when we come back, we'll switch gears to some European football stuff, where the Premier League is in the second week and Manchester City with a second win as well. Welcome back to Sports Bits. European football back in full force. We spent the first 10 minutes of Sports Bits dissecting a sector of the pizza, which pretty much contained the Women's World Cup 2023, which came to a fever pitch and a halt last weekend, which saw Spain win their first ever Women's World Cup over England, who of course also were looking to be European champions and also world champions. Wasn't quite to be, but Spain doing the needful, now holding all three levels of the tournament: the Women's World Cup, the Under-17 and the Under-20 World Cup. We touched base with Toby Amusan as well, who's been cleared to go ahead and live her best life, winning medals as she's done for the last 1 year or thereabouts. Fala Nadini is still very much present in the studio, as is yours truly, Yubi. And so, do you want to be a part of the show as always on social media? Send in your messages. Send us an email if you've got a reaction to a story or something like that. If you've got sponsorship ideas, how about you reach out to us in the email on the screen at the moment. Right then, let's get into that European stuff, which is now well on the way. We built up for the last couple of months. Now it's finally here. Let's start off with Real Madrid, because we barely ever started away in Spain. But Jude Bellingham, one of the transfers of the summer, and now proving that he was worth every penny. Real Madrid paid for him. Top scorer now in the La Liga. Scored 3 goals, 2 assists in the last game against Almeria. And it just feels like he's getting into a different gear entirely now. So athletic. And the question is, who needs Kylian Mbappe?
Of course, who needs Kylian Mbappe? But it was obvious in the game that against Almeria that they need a striker, because Vinicius and Rodrigo struggled to outpace, to outmuscle the centre backs, for Almeria. But then again, Jude Bellingham came clutch, for them where they needed him. 2 games, 3 goals for him, and I think he has 1 assist also to his name.
2 assists in that game.
2 assists in that game, and if it continues like this, I mean, I don't think anyone will bat, an eye for the amount that they bought him. Yeah. But it's very, very obvious. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know why they didn't go for Hurricane, but it's obvious that Real Madrid need a striker, in the team. I've got the injury to Eder Militao and Thibaut Courtois. I don't think they're really going to, worry about that. Antonio Rudiger has come in to play.
Because it's David Alaba as well.
Yeah, David Alaba also. But I think Jude Bellingham is already a star.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know that already, this is me putting it out for you, that Jude Bellingham is already a star.
And he has said, look, I'm 10 times better than I was at Dortmund already, And that could sound like a bit of a braggadocious comment, but when you watch him play, right? I mean, he's embracing the pressure. A lot of players want to, dumb it down a little bit, say, I'm not, I'm just going to walk my way up. But he's saying, look, I'm here and I'm the star of the football team. And it's quite incredible. In just 2 games, he's already their best player and showing that he's the new leader of the new Galacticos, so to speak. So watch out, Barcelona. Speaking of Barcelona, they finally up and running after last week's 0-0 draw and a red card to Xavi Hernandez. Xavi, of course, was serving first of his 2-match ban against Cadiz. 2-0 Barcelona won. It kind of felt like it would go the same route as the first game when Barca didn't score until the 83rd minute, courtesy of Pedri, who is also, if Real Madrid say they have Bellingham, they would say this is our own, golden boy as well. Scored in the 83rd minute from a pass from a fellow new signing, or a new signing rather, Ilkay Gundogan, and Ferran Torres came in and scored the second goal of the game. But in a new home, it's got to be said, that comes with a bit of, maybe not the pressure that you play at Camp Nou, but familiar territory is always best. But they couldn't find that they're up and running now, and I think all is well.
From what we saw with Barcelona in the last 2 games, you
Yeah.
know, they've not really been, they are not impressive, if we have to say that. I don't know what Xavi can do, but he has the players. Okay, good, Pedro in the team, Lewandowski and Rafinha and a couple of other players, but they need to hit the ground running. It's obvious that Real Madrid are trying to build that fear factor in them, and Barcelona also needs to build that fear factor. Enough of passing the ball around. We don't want that. We want the ball in the back of the net. And for the longer it takes you to score goals, the easier it becomes for team to actually sit back and defend against you. But when you score them, you strike that fear in their mind before you play your next game. And I think that is what Barcelona needs to do right now. I don't know what Xavi is going to do, but I can tell you that he has the players. He has the players. So I don't think player is an excuse for him.
I tell you what, you don't need to know. You don't get paid the big bucks. He gets paid the big bucks.
Of course,
I hear in the region of at least £10 million a year. So he's got to figure that out. As far as Barcelona scoring goals, I think the word you're looking for is penetration. You know, get the goals. You know, passing is great, but get the goals and get the game to bed as early as possible. So Barcelona, of course, up and running there. And Atletico Madrid were up and running in the first week, but couldn't quite keep the momentum in the second week with their draw against Real Betis, who are also not an easy team to beat. They're top 4 contenders. So it's got to be said that you've got to measure a bit of criticism there. But yes, that's pretty much our La Liga shifts. Let's get away from that. Let's head on to the Premier League. You know what? Let's stop with the Bundesliga first, because Harry Kane scored his first goal for Bayern Munich. Now, speak to me about Harry Kane, because, you know, the hullabaloo about his first trophy not being won, and for any player that could you know, eat at you, but it took only 4 minutes to get an assist to Leroy Sané.
He's an experienced player,
top player,
an experienced player. Surprised that Real Madrid did not make a move for him. They've been disappointed by that. And Harry Kane, we know he can score goals. We also know that, you know, for the past 2 seasons, he has been providing, you know, assists for his teammates. That partnership with him and Son Heung-min, and he did that, you know, with the first goal, the pass to set Leroy Sané free in that game. He also got a goal himself, so he's going to score a lot of goals. Match day 1, already getting a goal. I won't be surprised at the end of the season if Harry Kane eventually scores 36 goals in the Bundesliga. Not disrespect to the Bundesliga, but it's not as tough, you know, as the Premier League. And the defenders, they are more interested in ball playing than doing actual defending. Right. You know, and so I think Harry Kane is going to find it easy, very easy to score, you know, over 30 goals in the Bundesliga.
Well, of course, Bayern Munich a 4-0 winners over Werder Bremen away from home, and that tells you all you need to know about their statement of intention after last week's loss to RB Leipzig in the Super Cup. Right, so Borussia Dortmund, of course, who are always their closest contenders, winning 1-0 against Köln, and you know, maybe not the greatest you know, start as far as laying down the marker, but you would expect it to be a 2-horse race, as it always is, or maybe a 1-horse race, given the Harry Kane is now there anyway. Let's get away from Germany. Our next stop now is in England. Let's touch base with Chelsea, who, you know, what they say, what money can do, more money can do, but in this case, it is not the case. After an incredible week of huge transfer spending, first breaking the British transfer record for, you know, Moses Caicedo, and then go ahead to get another player in Lavia, £58 million. It didn't quite get them the goal they needed, and it was almost a game where, you know, the signings you would expect to, it was a game of penalties, you know, because you know, Enzo misses the penalty when it was 1-1. Then Caicedo comes into the game and concedes a penalty. Football writes the best scripts, and you know, Chelsea on the receiving end of this particular script.
Definitely. And I mean, I saw a post of Liverpool midfield, Chelsea midfield, and I think Man United midfield. And I told someone that on paper, it looks like the Liverpool midfield is the most balanced one, because Endo is defensive midfielder, with McAllister is CM, and Szoboszlai an attacking midfielder. But if you look at the Chelsea team, the 3 midfield players I saw there more or less look like defensive players. You know, Caicedo is DM, Lavia is DM, and also Enzo is CM. No attacking player in the attacking midfielder in that team. And Gallagher also, people might want to say he plays as an attacking midfielder at Crystal Palace, but the level at Chelsea is higher than Crystal Palace. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, probably the solution to spending money is spending more money, just like you said. So I'm looking at an attacking midfielder that they can get because they need an attacking midfielder very, very urgent. And Chukwuemeka, that seems to be playing that, got injured in the game against West Ham. So I don't think it's early days to be criticizing Caicedo and Enzo. I mean, let's look at what's going to happen before December to see if we can really criticize. But then again, if you are bought for 115 million, nobody's going to do everything. Nobody will forgive you.
Nobody's going to say, this is what, this is that. It's about getting the results, and as long as Chelsea don't get the results, last season they scored a meager 38 goals, which is what was the lowest in the top 10 basically, and that just tells you all you need to know about Chelsea's struggles. And the season before that, they scored 58 goals, right? In contrast, Man City, who won the title last year, scored 88 plus goals thereabouts. So you've got to fix that goal scoring problem as soon as possible. And they've also got injury problems as well, because their captain, newly installed captain, Reece James is out for a considerable amount of time, maybe 2-3 months. You never.
I think it's becoming injury prone these days.
Yeah, becoming a bit injury prone. That is not great at all. And Jackson Martinez has not quite fired, has he? I'm actually rooting for him to get it done.
It was one of their liveliest players over the weekend.
As he was against Liverpool as well.
Yeah, alongside Raheem Sterling. But the midfield was not just eating. They were totally flat.
Anyway, let's go from one non-scoring team to another scoring team. Matter of fact, let's take a break, because when we come back, we'll switch gears to Manchester United. Matter of fact, the two Uniteds who one got a thumping and one got a very necessary win. Welcome back to Sports Pits. Working our way through the pits. If you like mushrooms, this is the part where United were able to pick some mushrooms, but not quite enough to get the goals in the game. 2-0 defeat against Tottenham Hotspur. One manager getting his first win as Tottenham boss, Ange Postecoglou. Good football, I must say. Yves Bissouma was incredible in midfield. United looked like the boss possession in the first half, but looked toothless up front. That's also the problem United have got. They signed Højlund, he's injured. Martial, you can never trust. Rashford doesn't want to play up top. Garnacho doesn't look like he's ready to start. Problems for Ten Hag to fix in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, I don't think United have issues up front. I think the issue is in the midfield. We saw that against Wolverhampton. They were overrun in the midfield. And if Wolves can do that to you at Old Trafford, then, you have to sort it out before you play against Tottenham Hotspur. But that did not happen. And again, Tottenham Hotspur were able to dominate in midfield. But then again, probably want to give an excuse for United. They should have had a penalty. Probably that would have changed the game entirely. But going forward,
people say the calls even out over the season, and I think that I agree with that. United got lucky last week against Wolves, and they got denied a penalty. So 1-1 that cancels out, no?
But we can't do that.
Yeah,
we can't do that.
That's what we're doing, right? We've got to touch base with Man City, who won a goal to nil against Newcastle. One of the key players there, Phil Foden, who had an amazing game, I must say. Kevin De Bruyne out injured for 4 months, will not be back until earliest January. And up stepped Phil Foden. He had an incredible performance there, and what a beauty it was to watch him play. So City, of course, 2 wins from 2. What about Liverpool, who got a win over Bournemouth? 3-1, because Bournemouth actually started well. They actually scored Liverpool first. Liverpool had to respond and eventually got the win. Mo Salah scored a penalty after initially missing this kick and scored from the rebound. Well, of course, the Premier League up and running for 2 weeks, and we've totally enjoyed all the action. So lots to look forward to. Brighton also looking like the real deal this season once more, and I get the feeling that Zerbi would be the next big manager to get a huge transfer fee, and Brighton, they're doing big things as well. Well, our player of the week has to go to some of the best play we've seen in the Premier League over the weekend. We couldn't quite pick one because there were just so many good goals.
I'll pick one for you.
Right. Mitoma.
Yeah,
that was a really good goal.
Yeah.
Really good goal. And boy, oh boy, the last couple of days in transfer window promises to be very interesting. One player could still move. You never just know. From both of us here in the studio, it's been a great time.
Definitely.
Thanks to all the Sports Pizza fans who continue to send us messages and keep the show as a very heavily traffic medium we have here on the platform. We'll see you next week for all the bigger stories. Bye-bye.